If you just break down the name, Christian nationalism, what we get is we should want our nation to be Christian. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, especially if you are a Christian. It should be something that you are actually striving for. That's part of what the end goal is for the gospel itself, is to make disciples of all nations so that they end up obeying Christ as Lord. But I think where the people get confused about it, and of course how the radical leftist media likes to use this as a word to label people, basically a white supremacist. That's where things get caught up in. And I think the church tends to get the wrong idea about what we're actually meaning when we use the word. The reason why I think this word has come to play a role in our discourse is partially because the church itself has receded itself from public life. More specifically, it's receded itself from the role of influencing people who are making decisions about rules, whether they're rules for your family, rules for your business, or rules for your society. And so this is partly, I think, why the idea of the quote-unquote Christian nationalism has come to the forefront in our discussion, trying to rebalance the dialogue and discussion of what's needed in society by using the name. And the ultimate goal being that as we evangelize, should be ultimately obeying God in each one of the spheres that God places us in. Those 7 spheres typically revolve around, first of all, the first 3 divine spheres: family, church, and state or civil government. Now that we've kind of expanded society beyond the realm of the home, we also have the education system. We have work, the workplace. We have the culture at large, and we would have the realm of health. So these are the spheres we should be transforming in which we operate so that they reflect a biblical direction for how we lead. But that does not happen now. What happens, and has been happening in the church, is that the church has decided we're going to let secularism and the pagan ideas of ruling our world be the forefront, and we don't want people to know that we're a Christian. We try to camouflage. And so in that direction, the world has now gone dark. There's no light switch for darkness. You have to turn off the light in order for darkness to grow. So that's where we are in society. We are at a place in which the church has deliberately turned off its light when in the spheres of the secular world, if you will, the world beyond the church and the home. And as a result, the world has grown into a very dark place in our very own nation. The whole point of America was to give a groundwork for what a biblical ordered liberty ought to look like when you have the opportunity to check your leadership and to actually become a leader. There was no other way for you to be a leader of society if you were not born a nobleman. And so that is the difference. That when we came to America, we had the opportunity to not only check our leadership by being able to elect them, but also to put a strict guidelines on what the government can and can't do. It's guidelines that restrict the government, not the people. Christians ought to be helping check the ruling authorities with the universal standards of God's word and becoming the opportunity to set the rules so that they accord to God's word. That's what made America unique. That's what made America truly blessed, was because we ordered ourselves in a way that honors God's design and God's law for the way we ought to live. The only way we get America back in a way that accords to our original intent and a nation that honors God is by the church deciding to, number one, practice God's word internally in a way that obeys him. And then as they do that, they spread that externally, discipling each other how to engage the 7 spheres so that they honor Christ in their design and in their actual rule. That's what Christian nationalism actually is. And that's what we need to get back to if we want any semblance of a free nation.